Hello there, Kenny Durkin here. I'm in the Durkin workshop, and we are printing blue things. What could I be printing? What could it possibly be? Well, you know what it is, don't you? I've been making thogs. Lots of thogs. I've got Palisade-sized thogs. I've got Diamond Select-sized thogs. I've even got pocket thogs. Because everybody wants a pocket thog, don't they? I know some of you are probably interested in how I came up with the idea to do this and kind of the process and the trial and error. So I made a little video for you. So check it out. This is the Muppet action figure line from a company called Palisades during 2001 to 2005. And it was available in stores like Target and Toys R Us, but also stores that don't really exist anymore, like EB Games and Suncoast and KB Toys. And it was so much fun to collect. It's a great figure line. It's got the best sculpts, the best paint, the best articulation, the best accessories, the best play sets, and a wide variety of characters. I have about 98% of what they produced. Most of it's packed away, but on the shelf here is every single character that they produced. Maybe not their variants, but the characters, including Jim Henson right there in the middle. And it was so much fun. And they made a lot of my favorite characters, that even some of the more obscure ones. But there was one that they didn't make for reasons that I understand, because he's so big. And that is Thog. There he is right there. He's a fully costumed character, about 9.5 feet tall. And there he is. He's at the beginning of most of the Muppet shows. But he's always been kind of one of my favorite characters. And I know that he would have been really difficult for them to produce and put out there because of his size. But I thought maybe it was something that I might want to tackle on my own. So I sculpted him in Nomad Sculpt. And I looked at a lot of references and a lot of videos. So it took me a while to get him right. But once I got him kind of figured out, I painted him. I painted the digital model as just kind of a proof of concept. And once I had him the way I liked him, I flattened the whole model and I sent it off to my printer. I just started getting into 3D printing, and I have a Bambu Lab A1 printer. And the first thing I printed was what I call the pocket thog, which is about 2 inches tall, and just something I made as a proof of concept to make sure that he was balanced correctly, because he's so top heavy. I just wanted to see if he would be fully realized as a printed character. And immediately when I started making him larger, when I was happy with the smaller version, I ran into some trouble. And so hopefully you get a kick out of this, and maybe if you're doing some printing on your own, you might learn a few things from my mistakes. But this is all part of the process. This is the great part of the creative process, is making mistakes, because it just makes you better and stronger at this stuff. So I'm going to bring you through some of the process in printing the Thog. And there he is. So it looks pretty. I like the way he's sculpted. And I wanted to print him small just to make sure that he would stand up, because he's so top heavy that he's got a kind of a crazy center of gravity. But because he's going to be printed so tall, he's going to be printed 12 inches tall. My print bed only goes up 10 inches. So what I did was I chopped the model. I cut the model off at the waist. So I printed it from the waist up, and then I'm going to print it from the legs, and then stick them together. And there's a great way to do that in the Bambu Studio, the printer software, where you can even have like a peg and a hole, so they can be joined together in a better way. The rookie mistake I made was I ran out of filament.
Look at this.
I got no more filament. There goes the blue. Last of the blue's going through. He's almost done. Just, so close. Let's see what happens. So I was able to print, when I printed the top half of him, I was able to print 99% of him. I had 15 minutes to go. I was able to print 99% of him, and it ran out of filament. So I had to order more. Today is Thursday. It won't be coming till next Tuesday because there's also a holiday in there. But I can show you what he looks like right now. So I'm going to come around here, and there he is. And he's massive. Look at that. He is going to be a big boy. Now, all of this support material right here, you see all this stuff? That just cracks off. That's just so we're able to print underneath things, like underneath this hand and underneath this nose. And this black line will be inside the mouth. What I should have done was not print the black and the white. I should have just printed the whole thing blue and just painted it, because that would have been pretty easy to paint, actually, those eyes. So I ended up with a lot of excess blue. So you'll be seeing the finished Thog. Oh, I'm also gonna, once he's done, I'm gonna go in there and just kind of paint some highlights in there, just to kind of give him some depth and pop him out a little bit. But I mean, all these little textures on the nose turned out, and I mean, that fur turned out great. He's gonna be really, really cool. So look for him sometime next week. So after that debacle, and I got the new filament, I had to print the top of his head and then glue it onto the top of his head, and then I could print the legs. But I wasn't out of the woods yet, because the peg that was at the bottom of the legs did not fit into the gigantic hole that printed at the bottom of the body. I don't know why it printed so big. It printed so large, in fact, that the corners of the body cracked off. So you can see those holes in there. So I'm not sure what happened there. There was some sort of issue where the peg and the hole were scaled incorrectly. But once he was printed and put together, we had a 12-inch Thog, and this is what he looks like against some of the other figures, and the guy who made it, and how he looks among all the other characters. Looks like he fits right in there. And then I had another problem once I started printing. The next ones was some weird kind of shift in the layers. And so I had to figure that problem out. This is another print failure. It looks like in the middle of the night there was a shift, a layer shift, so it's almost like it got bounced forward. Can't have that, so this is going to be kicked off to the side and used for practicing painting techniques and stuff like that. So even if you've got garbage, you can still use it. Put it to good use. Okay, I have a theory. This is now two prints that have both jogged forward and had a layer shift. I'm wondering if this printer, as it's printing, is slowly sliding forward. And when the legs underneath hit these slats, it bumps the table. So I just drilled a screw into this thing as a stopper, and I'm gonna check on it every once in a while and see if it's moving, and that'll at least stop it. So I'm gonna have to come up with some sort of put something underneath there and create some sort of a thing so this printer isn't shifting all over the place. This is a side-by-side of the two Thogs, and the differences are subtle. but this is the prototype that I did. And after I printed it, I found a few things that I could change to make it even better. So starting from the top, I made this nose a little smaller. It seemed like it was a little too big. So I brought it down just a little bit more, and it leaves a little more space between his eyes and the tip of his nose. So this is more accurate, I think. Another problem that I had with the sculpt was that these fingers came to such a taper that I ended up busting one of them off. So I changed it just a little bit, all the fingers, so it wouldn't bust off. And finally, the most important thing was these toes. These toes are circles, and for some reason when you sculpt in 3D, that looks like a circle, but when you turn it, it's actually an oval, and it's something that I just kind of overlooked during the whole process. So I shortened those toes to make them more accurate. And that's about it. So those are the changes that I made to him, but otherwise he's exactly the same. Okay, sorry about the noise. I got a lot of stuff going on in here, but one thing I've noticed, I have to do this Thog in 2 sections because he's so tall. And so I did it so the join would be underneath, so it'd be more difficult to notice. But the thing about this Thog the top half that I just printed, is that it's a little wobbly, as if the top half is a bit curved. And I know it's the top half because I have another bottom here that seems to be perfectly flat, and it's wobbly on that one too. So what I'm gonna do is, hey, you can see it. Oh wow, you can see it really well right here. Yeah, it looks like it didn't make it perfectly flat. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a hairdryer and heat that, and hopefully it'll make the plastic pliable enough while it's really hot to flatten out. Otherwise I would probably have to sand that whole thing down. So this is some weird thing where it didn't adhere to the print bed or something like that. So let's see if it works. Well, it turns out I was right about the printer scooting forward as it was printing. So I put a stopper in front of it, and it's working fine now. And I was also right about heating up the plastic. It can help to make those seams a little less visible. So I just started printing, and I've been printing Thogs for the past few weeks or so, and I have a small run of them coming up, and I'll let you know when they're available. And here's a little look into the future as to who's next. That's Dog Lion. So Dog Lion's up next after Thog. Talk to you later.